I'm Suvi. I am the art and audio director at Perfect Garbage.
My name is Gisula. I am a composer for this game, and I am working on the music for Grave Seasons.
The main theme is the meatiest of all the tracks because it's the first track that we made. It represents the journey of Grave Seasons, which was quite difficult to write about. Like, I pulled a lot from talking with other people on the team about just like the overall design philosophy for the game. There are certain things when you work as a composer in media that you can translate story to music directly. You know, being very intentional and careful about the melodies that we're writing, making sure that transitions all make sense and everything. Starting to introduce some themes, and then we build on our melody here. And then here we transition into a little bit of folk horror. Folk horror is a big theme in this game.
We've utilized a lot of cello texture, both electric and acoustic, and like done a lot of freaky shit with it.
I'm a very visual person when I'm composing. Imagine this as like a story structure, right? And you have like the climax of it there, and you have to have your little ebbs and flows. If the song is big the whole time, then you don't really feel the impact, right? The main goal was to reflect the shape of the overall story and seed in a lot of different moods and motifs and instruments and themes that we can use elsewhere, which I think is really, really beautiful.
A guitar is also an incredibly rich instrument, I think, especially considering how you can like control the tone in very specific ways. We've been using both like steel string and nylon string, especially like we've been using a lot of nylon string because it has a very like Spanish guitar kind of sound to it, and it's lended itself wonderfully to like the sort of world instrumentation that we've been utilizing. But the baritone, the steel string, has been also wonderful on like the darker bits of the soundtrack that require that deeper, more like rich, less child-friendly tone that the nylon string has. There's always a warmth to the texture of actually like playing real instruments.
We wanted to play around a lot with the theme of like being very intimate and like cozy and warm and acoustic and organic has been a focus to serve both the horror and the cozy aspects. So in a lot of the other tracks, it's like, you know, 95% live, 100% live instrumentation and mostly acoustic so that we get that really organic feel to it, right?
I feel like we wanted to make it real, you know, and like include a sense of groundedness to it. So it was important for the tone that we didn't make it artificial, and I wanted to make the player really feel the music.
Primarily this track has live percussion and acoustic guitar, and in this case it's cool because we started trying to blend some aspects of like drum machine percussion to help it feel not so purely like bossa nova, so that it's a little bit more fitting for a video game. We had Easter eggs in which I wrote in Morse code. We wrote basically the name of the season or sometimes a different word. In this case, we have spring written out in Morse code here. Got the idea from Rush, YYZ, awesome song. The whole album is very kind of like video gamey precursor music, I feel like, which is fun. They spell out YYZ, the name of the Toronto airport, in Morse code at the very start. And so that was where I got the idea for this, which I thought was kind of like a fun little Easter egg. And also another thing that was interesting about spring is we have a little bit of live bird ambience on here, recorded here in Nashville, because I was working on this in the very early morning, so there was birds.
the night versions. Basically, I just listen to the day theme to get the vibe of how does this one start, and then I try to sort of like riff off of that first impression and sort of mimic that same maybe like key or chord progression or melody, but then do something different with it, like grow it in a separate direction. I've tried to stay sort of at least loosely faithful to the original, like take it in a direction that has a very distinct personality of its own. You want to like create the impression that things are a little less safe now. Things are a little more ambiguous. You're no longer in that sweet and safe farming sim territory that you were in during the daytime. You're now like in sort of uncharted waters, but in a way that's still like a cousin of farming sim music, a little darker, a little tiny bit more ominous, a little more somber, because that's what I do best. Obviously we come from different like musical backgrounds. We are making farming sim music, but we're all making music that we like. And I think that's the thing that's making this soundtrack special. We've been incredibly lucky that we ended up in this place. We all like what's coming out of the pipe.
So yeah, I'm very happy with how the game is sounding currently.
It's been really wonderful working on the music for this game, getting to work in what I'm known for in my music, which is working in a lot of different global styles, a lot of different unexpected musical elements has been such a joy and a real pleasure to work on.